So we have a probability question in here. So it's a word problem. Okay. So um, of course, I read this problem ahead of time and I created a table. And the table helps organize the information. So there has to be a little bit of comprehension on your end to be able to come up with the table. And it's really just reading through the problem. You can figure out what the table will should look like. Okay, so let's read the first line. Employees from a company accepted an interview talking about their sleep last night. It is found that 80% of the employees sleep at least 8 hours last night. Okay, so there's like at least 8 hours last night. So that's one category. I guess one category is how the number of hours. So let's talk about that. First category is number of hours of sleep. Okay, so it's either at least uh, greater than or equal to 8 hours. Okay, so that's one. And among those sleeping for at least 8 hours, 70% of them went to bed. So at 11. So other than talking about number of hours, they have another category. And that second category is what time they go to bed, right? What time they go to bed. Okay. So one category. So that means when I say category, that means one would be rows and the other one would be columns. Okay. All right. So let's read through the rest of the problems first. Okay, so among those sleeping at least 8 hours, 70% of them went to bed at 11, while among those sleeping for less than 8 hours, only 30% went to bed at 11. Okay, so that's the scenario. So after reading, maybe you might need to read, like for me, I read it at least twice to understand what are the categories that you're talking about. So in this case, I found out that they're talking about the number of hours. So that's why we have that in rows. One category will be at least 8 hours and the other one will be less than 8 hours. So the rows tell you the number of hours that they have slept. Okay, now the other category will be what time they went to bed, so that will be on our column. So it's like a multiplication table, really. Okay, so in our column it's either they went to bed at 11 or not 11. Okay, all right, so now that we have filled up we have figured out our table. Let's read the problem again. Okay. Now, it is found that 80% of the employees sleep at least 8 hours. So, this is the group. Okay. This is the group that sleep at least 8 hours. So, you don't put the 80% here because this 80% means 80%. I mean, means people who have slept 8 hour at least 8 hours at 11. So, they're not going to put that 80 here. You're going to put the 80% in here. Okay, because this is the total number or percentage of people who have slept at least 8 hours, so you put that on the total. Okay, next. Among those sleeping at least 8 hours. So among those, so therefore we're still on the row, right? 70% of them 70% went to bed at 11. So the common mistake would be putting it 17 here because they mentioned that. But if you really think about it, it says 70% of those people who have slept at least 8 hours. So we're not gonna put 70 here, but we're gonna put 70% of the 80%. Okay, because that's 70% of all the people have slept at least 80 hours. Okay, so if that's 70%, then this must be the second column must be 30%, right? 30% of 80. Okay, or we don't actually even need to put that. We'll figure that one out later. Okay. Now 70% of 80, so that means 56% when you multiply that. By the way, in math when they say 30% of one let's say 50. This of part here, that means times. So that means 30% or point 0.3 of 50, which is equal to 15. So that's what normally when you hear the word of something, that means multiplication. All right, so now let's move on. So among those sleeping for at least 8 hours, 70% went to bed, which we just did that. Among those sleeping less than 8 hours, so we're moving on to the second row. This row right here, or on this row now, people who are sleeping at least 8 hours. No, less than 8 hours. Uh, where am I? Among those people sleeping less than 8 hours, 30% went to bed at 11. So only 30% of this total right here. Well, if this is 80, then this has got to be 20, because there are only two number of hour category, right? So this is going to be 30% of that 20%, which is equal to 6%. Okay? So now that you have that, you know that your table is complete, because you can see that horizontally on the first one, you only have one block missing. On the second row, one block missing. Well, this one has all blocks missing, but once you do the vertical, you'll fill it up. Okay. All right, let's complete our table. So if this is 56% and that's 80, so therefore 80 minus 56, because that has to total 80. So this is going to be 24%. Okay, if this is 20 and that's 6, then this got to be 14%. Okay, now so 80% of the total of people sleeping at least 8 hours, 20% at less than 8 hours. But how many percentage of all the people sleep at 11? Well, you got to just add 56 and 6, which is equal to 62%. Okay. And when you add this two, you have 38%. So that means 38% of all the people who have been interviewed slept not at 11, either before or after 11. Okay. All right, so you can double check it by adding this two. You should get 100%, because this is in percentage, and double check it by adding this two, should be equal to 100%, which it is. Okay, so we're good now. We're good with the table. We have organized the data, and so now we will answer the question. Okay, so the question is, suppose a randomly selected employees found to go to bed at 11. So that is your condition. Okay. We're only focusing now on the people who have gone to bed at 11. So that means that's this group right here. Okay. You only have to complete the table, but after that, you just pick which one are they talking about. Well, this is the group. So therefore, you don't even have to think about the rest of the other parts of the table. Okay. What is the probability that he or she slept at least 8 hours? Well, okay. They're saying out of all the people who slept at 11, how many slept at least 8 hours? Well, how many people slept at 11? Well, they'll have 62%. And then out of this 60%, how many slept at 8? At least 8. Well, that's 56. So it's really just a ratio, okay? So 56 out. Now, if their question is, out of those people who slept at 11, how many slept less than? What's the percentage of people who slept less than 8 hours? Then it'll be 6 over 62, okay? So this is your answer. You just have to divide that. I don't have a calculator. So just divide this one and make sure you round it off to the nearest two decimal places. Okay? That's the answer for that one. Now, for instance, the question is, suppose a randomly chosen employee is found to uh, go to sleep not at 11. Okay, so not at 11. So therefore, you'll be concentrating on this one. How many slept? What is the percentage of people who slept less than 8? So it'll be 14 over 38 in that case. Alternatively, if the question is out of those people who slept less than 8 hours, so these are all the people who slept less than 8 hours. Okay, and then the question is, what's the percentage of what's the chance that someone who is randomly chosen at random slept at 11? So 11 over that, so that would be 6 over 20, and that's the ratio. So really, in a conditional probability, just make sure you know which one is the condition. In this case, going to bed, that will be your denominator. Okay, and then what's the next category that they're talking about? In this case, at least 8 hours. Then that would be your numerator. All right. I hope this helps.